Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, tennis fans from around the globe, to another massive deep dive into the world of professional tennis. Today, we are unpacking a story that has captured the hearts of fans everywhere over the past few weeks, but one that unfortunately hit a devastating roadblock just hours ago. If you've been following the grass court swing leading up to Wimbledon 2026, you already know the name that has been on everybody's lips. She is the teenage sensation, the pride of the Philippines, the left-handed dynamo who's been taking the tennis world by absolute storm. I am talking, of course, about the 19-year-old phenom, Eala. For the past month, Eala has been scripting a fairy tale on the lush green lawns of Europe. It was the kind of underdog story that makes sports so incredibly compelling. Coming into the season, many wondered how her game, built on the clay courts of the Rafa Nadal Academy, would translate to the quickest, lowest bouncing surface in the sport. And she answered those questions emphatically. She put together a phenomenal campaign, securing a brilliant title run at the Birmingham Open, dismantling opponents with maturity that defied her teenage years. She then carried that momentum into the German capital, reaching the semifinals of the prestigious Berlin Open, taking down top-tier competition before finally falling to the eventual champion. She was writing an incredible grass court story, amassing a stunning 9-2 win-loss record on the surface, and vaulting herself into the global spotlight just in time for the most prestigious tournament in the world, Wimbledon. But sports, as we all know, can be fiercely unforgiving. The highs are intoxicating, but the lows can be absolutely gut-wrenching. And today, we have to talk about the heartbreak. We have to talk about the brick wall that Eala ran into at the Bad Homburg Open. Her opponent in the opening round was none other than the battle-tested Belgian veteran, Elise Mertens. Mertens is a former world number 12 in singles, a multi-time Grand Slam champion in doubles, and a player whose tactical acumen on grass is matched by very few on the WTA Tour. This was always going to be the ultimate litmus test for Eala. Could the young Filipina star overcome the mental hurdle of facing a player who had completely dismantled her on the clay courts of Madrid just a few months prior? Could she ride the wave of her Birmingham and Berlin successes to conquer a seasoned top 30 stalwart? The answer, painfully for Eala and her legions of fans, was no. In a match that lasted just 1 hour and 24 minutes, Elise Mertens played the role of the ultimate spoiler, ending Eala's sensational singles winning streak with a clinical, straight sets victory, taking the match 6-3, 6-3. It was a harsh reality check, a sudden halt to a runaway freight train of momentum. But if you think this is just a simple story of a veteran beating a rookie, you are entirely mistaken. The scoreboard does not tell the full story of what transpired on that court in Germany. Eala did not just roll over. In fact, she burst out of gates, threatening to write yet another glorious chapter in her grass court saga before the tactical genius of Mertens slowly, suffocatingly, turned the tide. Today, we're going to break down exactly what happened in Bad Homburg. We're going to look under the hood of this fascinating matchup. How did Eala secure an early break and race to a 3-1 lead in the first set, only to watch it slip through her fingers? What were the specific tactical adjustments that Elise Mertens made to neutralize Eala's lethal left-handed forehand? We will dive deep into statistics, the 10 aces from Mertens, the struggles Eala faced with her first serve percentage, and the crucial battlegrounds on the baseline that ultimately decided the outcome. But beyond the X's and O's, we are also going to examine what this means in the grand scheme of things. We will hear from former tennis stars like Sam Querrey and John Isner, who have recently chimed in on Eala's extraordinary potential and her unique emotional connection to the game. And finally, we will look forward, because while the singles campaign in Bad Homburg has ended in tears, Eala's week is far from over. In a plot twist that sounds like it was pulled straight from a Hollywood script, the 19-year-old is dusting herself off to step back onto the court, playing doubles alongside absolute tennis royalty, the 5-time Wimbledon champion herself, Venus Williams. So, buckle up, grab a coffee, and settle in. This is not just a match recap. This is a comprehensive autopsy of a heartbreaking loss, a masterclass in grass court tactics, and a look into the bright, unwritten future of Eala. Let's dive right in. To truly understand the gravity of this match, we first have to rewind the tape and set the stage. You cannot look at this first-round encounter in a vacuum. You have to understand the immense, almost suffocating pressure and expectation that Eala was carrying onto the court. When you are a teenager representing a country that is absolutely starved for global tennis success, every time you swing a racket, it means more. The Philippines has thrown its collective weight behind this young woman, and she has responded with a level of grace and determination that is frankly staggering. Coming into the Bad Homburg Open, Eala was the talk of the locker room. The grass court season is notoriously brief. It is a frantic 5-week sprint from the red dirt of Roland Garros to the hallowed lawns of the All England Club. For many players, especially those raised on clay or hard courts, grass is a puzzle they never quite solve. The ball skids. The bounce is unpredictable, often staying devilishly low. The rallies are shorter, rewarding first-strike tennis and punishing defensive passivity. Yet, Eala, despite her pedigree at the Nadal Academy in Mallorca, a veritable fortress of clay court tennis, took to the grass like a duck to water. Her run in Birmingham, where she claimed the title, was nothing short of a revelation. She showed the world that her left-handed game was tailor-made for the surface. Her serve, specifically the slider out wide on the ad court, became a lethal weapon, pulling opponents off the court and opening up acres of space down the line. Then came Berlin, a WTA 500 event stacked with heavy hitters. Eala fought her way through the draw, reaching the semifinals, only bowing out to Linda Noskova. She arrived in Bad Homburg with a 9-2 record on grass. She was battle-hardened, confident, and perhaps a little bit fatigued, both physically and emotionally. And then the draw came out. Elise Mertens. If you were hand-picking an opponent to avoid in the first round of a grass court tune-up, Elise Mertens will be near the top of the list. The 28-year-old Belgian is the quintessential professional. She is not the flashiest player on tour. She doesn't hit the ball with the jaw-dropping power of an Aryna Sabalenka or the blinding speed of a Coco Gauff. But what Mertens possesses is a terrifyingly high tennis IQ. She is a former world number 12 in singles and heavily decorated in doubles, with numerous Grand Slam titles to her name. Playing elite doubles translates perfectly to grass court singles. It means Mertens has incredible hands at the net. Her transitional game is seamless, and her return of serve is sharp, compact, and precise. Furthermore, Mertens had a psychological edge. Just 2 months prior, in April of 2026, the two met on the clay courts of the Madrid Open. Mertens absolutely dismantled the teenager, winning 6-2, 6-1. That kind of beatdown leaves a scar. It lives in the back of your mind. So, the question was, could Eala compartmentalize that loss? Could she trust that the grass underneath her feet would level the playing field? As the match began, it seemed the answer was a resounding yes. Eala walked onto the court looking utterly fearless. The match commenced, and immediately, Eala looked to impose her will. She didn't want to get dragged into the long, grueling baseline exchanges where Mertens thrives. Instead, Eala played aggressive, front-foot tennis. She was stepping inside the baseline on her returns, flattening out her forehand, and using her left-handed angles to stretch the Belgian. And it worked. Within the first 20 minutes of the match, Eala secured an early break of serve. She was serving beautifully, hitting her spots and consolidating the break to take a commanding 3-1 lead in the opening set. The crowd in Bad Homburg, always appreciative of a rising underdog, began to buzz. Was it happening again? Was the teenager about to add another massive scalp to her collection? Eala was dictating play, forcing Mertens into defensive, reactive positions. Eala's movement, which former world number 9 Sam Querrey and American serving legend John Isner recently praised as her greatest asset on grass, was on full display. As Isner pointed out on a recent podcast, grass isn't just about booming serves. It's about how quickly you can get out corners. Eala, being smaller in stature and possessing incredibly explosive first steps, was beating Mertens to the ball and redirecting it with interest. But here is where the narrative shifts. Here is where the difference between a top 30 veteran and a rising prospect becomes painfully apparent. Down 3-1, a lesser player might have panicked. They might have tried to overhit, going for low percentage shots to dig themselves out of the hole. Elise Mertens did exactly the opposite. She slowed the game down. She recalibrated, Mertens realized that Eala was feasting on pace. So, Mertens began to change the trajectory and the spin of her shots. She started slicing her backhand low and deep, forcing Eala to bend her knees and dig the ball out of the turf. Grass is the lowest bouncing surface in tennis, and hitting an aggressive topspin forehand off a skidding slice is incredibly difficult. Mertens also realized she needed to protect her own serve. In the early games, Eala had been jumping all over Mertens' second serve. The Belgian made a crucial tactical adjustment. She focused heavily on landing a high percentage of first serves, taking the aggressive return out of Eala's hands. And when she served, Mertens started targeting the Eala backhand, jamming the teenager into the body, not allowing her the extension she needs to generate power. The momentum swung violently. Eala, suddenly finding herself hitting off her back foot, began to press. The unforced errors started to creep in. Mertens broke back. Then she held serve. Then she broke Eala again. What was a 3-1 lead evaporated in the blink of an eye. Mertens put together an absolute masterclass in baseline management, stringing together 5 consecutive games to steal the first set 6-3. You could see the wind leave Eala's sails. Tennis is as much a mental battle as it is physical. When you throw your absolute best punch at a veteran, when you execute your game plan perfectly to go up 3-1, and they just absorb it, smile, and punch back twice as hard, it is incredibly demoralizing. As they sat down for the changeover between the first and second sets, the statistics painted a telling picture. Mertens had successfully scrambled Eala's rhythm. The second set began, and Mertens came out smelling blood in the water. The Belgian serve, which had been steady in the first set, suddenly became a lethal weapon. Mertens started finding the corners with devastating accuracy. By the end of the match, Mertens would fire down 10 aces. Let me repeat that. 10 aces in a 2-set match on grass for a player not traditionally known as a power server. It showed just how impeccably Mertens was hitting her spots, utilizing the slick surface to skid the ball past the Filipina's outstretched racket. On the flip side, the pressure began to tell on Eala's serve. The 19-year-old was struggling to find her first serve, landing it at an alarming 54% clip. When you are only making half of your first serves against a returner of Mertens' caliber, you are living on borrowed time. Mertens was stepping up, attacking the second serve, taking the ball early and rushing Eala's recovery. Eala fought bravely. There is no denying the heart of this young competitor. Even when she was down a break in the second set, she was still throwing her body around the court, scrambling for every ball, trying to manufacture energy. But Mertens was simply too solid. The Belgian was a brick wall, returning everything with interest. Mertens won nearly 70% of her first serve points and an incredibly impressive percentage of Eala's second serve points. Every time Eala thought she had a window, Mertens would slam it shut. If Eala managed to secure a break point, Mertens would step up and deliver an unreturnable serve or execute a flawless 1-2 punch. In fact, Mertens saved key break points in the second set that completely broke the spirit of the teenager. After an hour and 24 minutes of intense, high-stakes tennis, Elise Mertens secured the second set 6-3, stamping her ticket to the next round and sending Eala packing from the singles draw. When the match ended, the camera lingered on Eala. The disappointment was palpable. This brings me to a fascinating observation recently made by former Wimbledon semifinalist Sam Querrey. Querrey was speaking on a podcast, and he brought up Eala unprompted. He said his favorite thing about her is how much she cares. He noted that every time she wins a big match, she reacts as if she has just won a grand slam for her entire country. She is often near tears, overwhelmed with the emotion of the moment. But the flip side of caring that deeply is that the losses hurt that much more. This wasn't just a loss in a tune-up tournament. To Eala, this was a missed opportunity to prove she belonged in the upper echelons of WDA, a missed chance to exact revenge for the drubbing in Madrid, and a devastating halt to momentum she had worked so hard to build over the past month. However, in the cold light of day, when the emotional sting subsides, this match will serve as an invaluable lesson. Eala is 19 years old. She is still learning how to navigate the tactical chess match of professional tennis. What Elise Mertens did to her today is exactly what Eala will need to learn to do to younger players 5 years from now. Mertens didn't win by out-hitting Eala. She won by out-thinking her. She won by identifying the patterns that were causing her trouble, systematically neutralizing them and imposing her own rhythm. Eala will go back to the film room with her coaches, and they will study this match. They will see how Mertens used the slice to break up the pace. They will see how Mertens protected her own second serve. These are the growing pains required to become a champion. Furthermore, we must address the sheer physical toll of Eala's recent run. She has played a tremendous amount of tennis over the past month. The transition from clay to grass is hard on the joints, hard on the lower back, and deeply taxing on the central nervous system. Perhaps, deep down, a slight letdown was inevitable. The adrenaline that carried her through Birmingham and Berlin simply ran out against a seasoned pro who demands absolute physical and mental perfection from her opponents. As John Isner noted, Eala has all the tools for grass. She is small, agile, and left-handed, a nightmare combination for opponents when she is firing on all cylinders. Her movement out of the corners is elite. But what this bad Hamburg match exposed is that elite movement and raw talent must be married with tactical maturity. You cannot just blast your way through top 30 players every week. You need a plan B, a plan C, and a plan D. Today, when plan A failed after that 3-1 lead, Eala found her toolkit temporarily empty. Mertens had the answers. Eala did not. But this is not the end of the world. Far from it. It is merely a chapter in a much larger, much more exciting book. And as we transition out of singles analysis, we have to look at the immediate future. Because, as I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, Alex Eala's tournament in Bad Homburg is actually not over. In a twist of fate that is sending shockwaves through the tennis community, Eala has an engagement in the doubles draw, and she isn't playing with just anybody. If you want to talk about a silver lining, a way to instantly wash away the bitter taste of singles defeat, imagine walking into the locker room, putting down your bags, and realizing your next partner on the tennis court is a living, breathing icon of the sport. Despite the heartbreak of her singles exit, Alex Eala immediately turned her focus to the doubles draw, where she has formed a blockbuster, intergenerational partnership with none other than Venus Williams. Yes, you heard that right. The 19-year-old rising star from the Philippines is sharing the same side of the net with a 46-year-old legend, a woman who has won Wimbledon 5 times in singles, a woman who has won 14 Grand Slam doubles titles. The sheer magnitude of this pairing cannot be overstated. For Alex Eala, this is better than any training block, better than any coaching seminar she could ever attend. She gets to stand next to Venus Williams on a grass court, the surface where Venus built her legendary legacy. She gets to witness firsthand how Venus communicates, how she anticipates at the net, how she handles the pressure breakpoints, and how she carries herself like a champion. Eala had actually flirted with withdrawing from doubles entirely earlier in the grass season to protect her singles run, but honoring this commitment to play with Venus might turn out to be the greatest decision of her young career. We have already seen them take the court, and remarkably, they won their opening round of 16 match. The veteran wisdom of Venus combined with the youthful, left-handed electricity of Eala is a beautiful contrast of styles. Venus provides the intimidating wingspan at the net and the thunderous first serve, while Eala provides the scrambling defense, the sharp angles, and the baseline stability. It is an absolute joy to watch, and for Eala, it is the perfect remedy for the disappointment of her match against Mertens. Looking ahead, the ultimate prize looms large on the horizon. The grass court season culminates at the All-England Club. Wimbledon is just days away. Eala will enter the tournament seeking to secure her first-ever main draw victory at the sport's most prestigious event. Because of her phenomenal performances over the past month, she is coming in with an elevated ranking, positioning herself as a seeded player in the qualifying rounds, or potentially securing a direct main draw spot depending on the final cutoffs. The loss to Mertens, while painful today, removes the heavy burden of an undefeated streak. It allows Eala to reset, to get back to practice courts without the suffocating glare of an active winning streak hanging over her head. She now knows exactly what the top tier of women's tennis looks like on this surface. She has felt the weight of Mertens' precision, and she will be a better, more dangerous player at Wimbledon because of it. So, while the headline today reads Heartbreak for Eala, the actual story is one of profound growth. She arrived on the grass courts as a clay court specialist, hoping to find her footing. She leaves the warm-up tournaments as a bona fide grass court threat, a tournament champion, and a young woman who has earned the respect of legends like Sam Querrey, John Isner, and her doubles partner, Venus Williams. Now, I turn the question over to you, the fans. What did you make of this clash between Eala and Mertens? Do you think Elise Mertens' experience was simply too much? Or did Eala let the pressure of the moment get the better of her after taking that early 3-1 lead? And more importantly, how far do you think Alex Eala can go at Wimbledon this year? Can she carry the momentum of her Birmingham title and her doubles run with Venus into the main draw at the All-England Club? Drop your predictions and your thoughts down in the comments section below. I read every single one of them, and I love seeing the passion of the tennis community, especially the incredible support flowing in from the Philippines. If you enjoyed this deep dive analysis, please do me a massive favor and hit that like button. It tells the algorithm that we are doing something right and helps push this content to other tennis fans around the world. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel with those notification bells turned all the way on. We are going to be providing daily coverage, tactical breakdowns, and comprehensive previews as we head straight into Wimbledon. You will not want to miss a single second of the action. Thank you so much for tuning in, for sharing your time with me, and for your continued support of the channel. Until next time, keep your racket strong, keep your eyes on the ball, and I will see you in the next video.